The conflict between Israel and Iran is now into its fourth day with no sign of it ending. An Israeli strike in Tehran has killed another key military official. Well, Iran has fired several waves of drones and missiles over the last 24 hours. Loud explosions have been heard over Tel Aviv as missiles were intercepted by Israel's defense system. The Israeli military says 8 Iranian drones were intercepted overnight. In Iran, Israeli strikes have targeted nuclear facilities, a natural gas plant and senior military figures. Let's get more from Bloomberg's Joumanna Bercetche in Dubai. Joumanna, are we looking at this stage at a protracted conflict, or are we starting to see the closing chapters of this standoff between Israel and Iran?
Well, Tom, we are entering into a fourth day of conflict with no signs really of de-escalation. The Israel military saying this morning that since the conflict started, over 370 missiles and 100 drones have been fired from Iran into central parts of Israel, northern Israel. Most of those missiles had been intercepted, but there was an attack once again on Tel Aviv this morning, and several of those missiles were actually able to break through Israel's air defense system. The death toll now counting in Israel to as high as 23, with dozens other injured. As for on the Iranian side, the airstrikes continue. Israel continues to target those nuclear sites as well. Serious damage at the Isfahan uranium conversion site, key to part of the nuclear program, alongside those military targets and some of those energy sites as well, with over the weekend a fire alighting at one of the biggest gas fields in the world. Now, Iran isn't a big exporter of gas, but it is notable that the scope of these attacks is also broadened to include energy infrastructure as well. The death toll in Iran now counting to at least 224 people, according to the Iranian Health Ministry, and that includes senior Revolutionary Guard commanders alongside some of those nuclear scientists. So at this point, the war of words continues as well. The Israeli Prime Minister vowing to continue against the existential threat from Iran, as he calls it. The Ayatollah also saying in kind that they will strike back very harshly. And also of note, Tom, the 6th round of those U.S.-Iran nuclear talks, which were scheduled to take place yesterday, were cancelled indefinitely.
Yeah, and we heard from Trump, of course, over the weekend, the US president saying that he believes the conflict can be resolved diplomatically, but perhaps not right away. Let's take a listen.
Mr. President, can you give us a sense of what you're doing to try to de-escalate the situation between Iran and Israel?
Well, I hope there's going to be a deal. I think it's time for a deal, and we'll see what happens. But sometimes they have to fight it out, but we're going to see what happens. I think there's a good chance there'll be a deal.
So, Joumanna, we heard, of course, from the US president. Those were his comments. Do we know if there are any lines, diplomatic channels at all, open between Israel and Iran, either via third parties or via the US?
There's certainly an attempt to restart the diplomatic channels. There were reports over the weekend that Iran reached out to Qatar and to Oman to help restart those talks. The U.S. president himself saying there that he would like to see a deal reached. He used the word deal between Iran and Israel. But of course, at the heart of this is whether the U.S. themselves want to get entangled in military conflict. At this point, I should note that the reason perhaps markets are so subdued today is because what we've seen is so far bilateral attacks between Iran and Israel. It hasn't broadened out into broader regional conflict. Iran haven't gone as far as looking to target or actually executing on targeting U.S. assets or even disrupting the Strait of Hormuz. So maybe this morning what we're seeing is a bit of a relief because so far it certainly appeared to be contained. But from this point onwards, we will have to see more efforts on the diplomatic front and also the U.S. actually exercising the leverage that they have in the region to bring down the temperature and perhaps push forward with that nuclear deal. Ultimately, the main objective that Israel has set out in this war, in the strikes that they conducted on Thursday, is to stop Iran from developing a nuclear weapon. Perhaps now is the opportunity for the U.S. to push more forcefully in terms of getting Iran to the negotiating table and enforcing some of those red lines that had been discussed in the run-up to these attacks.